So if you could join that, you're going to see something that says vacation retrieval. If you could answer those things, type it directly into the Google Doc. It's a different Google Doc per person. The only one reading it is me. So join the Unit 4 classroom. Starting Unit 4. You're going to have 8 questions, I believe, to answer about your vacation. Two of you have joined. Good so far. What you're seeing in the chat, Tino, is the code for the Unit 4 classroom if you could join it. And also, I think you should have gotten either a text message or a text message through Remind about what are you planning to finish today and what are you planning to finish by Friday. Also, you can type that into the thing I'm having you type about the vacation, or also send me the text message because I didn't get any responses from any of you. So do you need to know that information? And by the way, in case you didn't know, because I didn't know it was going to happen so soon, but on Thursday in the evening, I believe, the school's gonna be having their virtual awards assembly. You're gonna either, I'm assuming the teacher who's nominating you or the assistant principal Rocio will be contacting you, since there's one of you in the room before we forget, and to make sure that student's connected. We'll be mentioning, well, actually, have any of you been contacted by your teachers? Because now that I'm remembering, there's one that I nominated and one that I know that another teacher nominated. Any of you know if you're going to receive anything? No? Do you guys want to know? So the one that I'm picking, because she consistently participates, whether it's in independent study, and I know she does it in her English class. I don't know if the English teacher's going to give her something. She was thinking about it. But I'm going for a certain award. So Jasmine, make sure that you have that information. Angelina, you're also going to receive an award from somebody. I forget who it is, kind of thing. So make sure you two are connected to the thing. And it's something I believe we're going to be doing. We did one before the pandemic in person. Hopefully sooner or later we can do one. Maybe at the end of the school year it'll be in person. This one's going to be virtual. So Angelina and Jasmine, you're going to get an award on Thursday evening.
Oh, okay. So like, there's going to be a call, right?
There's going to be a Zoom call thing that I'm assuming Rocio is going to include you on the thing. Say, here's the link, kind of thing. I'm assuming you haven't gotten it yet. I knew that Rocio bugged me on Monday, like, give me your names for people, and I gave her my 3 names, and I saw lots of people on there people I know from both of my math classes, and I got to nominate some of my independent study people, kind of thing. So if you want to receive something, because most of you are connected and are doing a lot of work, just there's only so many. Each teacher was giving 3, by the way, so that you know. The 3 things that right now are being awarded are being consistent in your attendance or participation, most improved, and then students of the semester. So those are each teacher's going to be talking about people. Okay. So again, what you should be doing, in case you popped in and I was talking, thing in the chat is the code for the classroom. I want you to be doing the thing that says vacation retrieval. There's 8 questions. Again, you're using metacognition and thinking about what you remember. It ended a couple of days ago, kind of thing. Obviously, if you change your schedule way too much, then you're still not accustomed to, I have to do stuff again, kind of thing. not just you. Some of the teachers were a little out of it by the end of the day and stuff like that. So do that thing. And you want to include any other details, stuff you're going through or whatever, add it on there. By the way, it's a different document for each person, so whatever you type, I'm only one seeing it. If you want to include what are you planning to finish today, and by Friday, some of you are nearly done with the thing. One of you should have tested yesterday, but I didn't get any text messages from the gentleman. By the end of the week, all of you who are connected should be updated with units 1 through 3 and have a little chunk of 4. Okay, so please do that. And then also get yourselves into our whiteboard site. We are going to be doing a lot of retrieving because you know a bunch of stuff. I'm going to remind you of it and you digging in your brain to see it, and it's not you flipping through the notes immediately. Whiteboard.596. So I'm going to get that set up. Oops. I typed my password wrong. Let's see, I think I got all of you. Angelina, Tino, Gemma, Giselle, Jasmine, Mariana. Those are all the people here. Oh, and I have Sky here. So Sky, there's a code for Unit 4. If you can join that. There's a thing there that says vacation retrieval. That's what the others are answering. It's 8 questions, and here's the link to the chat as well. Not the chat, the whiteboard. We're going to be using that thing. And for those who were connected yesterday with the little retrieval card things, usually I'm going to be uploading them as materials or resources in our classroom. I don't believe you can add things onto there, but when you are using those things in your preparing for class and learning, you can text me pictures of what you're doing. That will make more sense as we use it more. If you could put in the chat what number are you on the vacation retrieval thing, or if you're done, but you're done. That way I know when to go on to the next thing. So we want to do this one. I want to test out something. I'm wondering if I can see live as you guys are typing or not. I don't think so. It's until you submit it, I believe. So you should be close to around halfway through it. And if you just joined us, then there's 8 questions. You can add on anything else you want to share that you can remember. Again, it's good practice if you can remember what you ate or watched or whatever a couple days ago. Maybe you can remember the things you've already learned. Again, get yourselves connected to the whiteboard site once you finish. Because the next retrieval card thing I do want to see live. One more minute. And then I do want you on the whiteboard site because I'm going to be sending over the cards for equations and solving. So I have one of you on there, two of you. Let's see how I can do this. So as I see you coming in there, one thing that on accident I did yesterday, I think I can only do this if I click one at a time. I'm going to share all the pages of the thing I have loaded on there. For those who were connected yesterday, what are the two symbols that we're going to be using when we're doing these retrieval practice? There's like two symbols. One of them means, yes, I know how to do that thing, and one's not quite. I don't know that at the moment.
A star and a question mark.
Star and a question mark. Okay, so I need you to, well, on the whiteboard side, you're going to literally write on there. That'd be probably easier than typing it. But I need you to type in the chat. Obviously, you can type a question mark, so type one just to make sure you're awake. How would you type a star? Look it down at your keyboard. None of us thought about this until later. I'm like, oh, wait, you can use that thing. So type a star and a question mark just to make sure. And as you're connecting to the whiteboard side and sending all the different card things, these are things that you're going to be copying down. I would, you can maybe do 3 problems per side of a piece of paper. They don't take that much space. I think doing all 6 on one would be too much. Okay, so I see some question marks on there. And I see people who have figured out what we can use for a star. Oops. Or I switch to something I'm not supposed to. What is that symbol called? That's the thing I want you to type for a star. What is this thing called? The thing some of you typed? Which for some reason I had to look at in print because if not, it sounds weird when I say it.
Isn't it like an? It starts on the.
Just go for it. It's gonna sound funny unless you're looking at the word. I don't know. Or
I need to look up this word because I forgot how you
Google.
pronounce it.
I did too because I'm like, wait, is there this letter or this letter? Because obviously in English, even if you read it, the thing I was covering up.
Asterisk. There you go.
Mm-hmm. So or asterisk. Okay, so the thing above the what number is it? 8. So if we're typing it, then there you have a version. You can either draw that out or a star if you have it. Again, do need you on the whiteboard site because there's things that I'm not going to show you. Make sure. Okay, I got one who's joined. Got a couple who not there yet. You're going to click through them. You're not doing them right now. Remember, step 1 of us retrieving what is it that we actually do know, which you're in Math 3, you know a lot of things. And you're actually pretty well prepared Math 3 people. That's not always true. Okay. So click over through the problems, glance at it, look at it for about 30 seconds. Don't start doing it, but start like thinking to yourself, or most of you you're muted, just start talking to yourself. It's good for figuring things out. If you know it, draw a star. If you don't know it, a question mark. And figure out on your student whiteboard, figure out where you can click, because I sent over 6 problems plus the little title page. Some of you are already clicking through the things. Some of you are still on the title page, so move it over to number 1 and so forth so that you can see the different problems. If you're having issues, and again, the best thing is you seeing it on the whiteboard side. That way you can see what you put and see how in common it is with the rest of them. The cards are also located on the Google Classroom for Unit 4. You can look at them there too. Either way, do need you to write them down on paper because you're going to be doing them for step 2 and 3. So look at the problem literally on the whiteboard thing. I want you to draw me a little star, an asterisk. If you actually know how to do it without looking at anything or asking me anything. If you don't, then it's all right, and you're going to put a question mark, and then we're going to go back to that. Step 1 is just you labeling star, question mark, star, question mark. Step 2 is let me look for my stars and actually do the star ones. Step 3 is then we're going to go through the ones that are the question marks together. Or you're going to hear what people's questions are. Okay. So I saw someone put something on, I think it was 6 that they actually know how to do. Emma's clicking through it all quick like, which is good. See questions on number 2. Okay. Question on number 5. Okay. And notice that I think at least you're not freaked out that okay, you know equations can look in different ways. Just stop to think about. You don't want to think about it like more than like 2 minutes. You just don't start. None of you are actually writing on there, which is a good thing. Right now, it's just you thinking about it. Like, have I seen this kind of thing before? Do I know how to deal with this? How would I deal with this equation? If you have a good plan, put a star. If you don't, then it's a question mark. And if 5 out of 6 of them are question marks right now, that's fine. So it's figuring out what do we know right now. And if for some reason the whiteboard site's not working for you, one of you needs Tino, the whiteboard thing, can you figure out how to click over to the different problems? Okay, you're reconnected. Right. So click over, you should have like the 6 problems. Just find where the different pages are and click over. And again, once you've labeled from 1 through 6 with stars, that the ones you know, question marks, the ones you don't know, then start doing the ones that are the stars. At around 9:30, we're going to start doing the question mark ones. So one of you is joined. And if the site's not working for you for whatever reason, the reason why I was going over the asterisk and reminding you where the question marks that's on your keyboard, you can label the same things in the chat. You can put number 1, star, number 2, whatever. Put them in there, and there's look off of the classroom site. They're there. There's 2 spots where you can look at it. Let me see. Let me try that. I thought I sent it to Angelina, and it's either I didn't or it's not loading right. Let's try that again. Okay, there it goes. And I think I did send all of them. If any of you, I just sent you the title page thing. Let me know, and then I'll push over the all. Okay. And it doesn't matter which one you use. It's a question mark for you. It's a question mark for you. Okay. If you have all of them labeled, then remember 8 more minutes. The star and the question mark thing should be about 30 seconds per problem. And you want to take the time depending when I see people finishing with their labelings. If you're done with your labeling, start doing your star problems. That's step 2 of our retrieval process. Let me try it again, Tina. Let me see. There's no way for me to tell if I sent over the whole thing or the first page. So after your screen refreshes, see if you can below your student whiteboard, if you see like a plus and a minus sign and then a bunch of different pages. Oh, now it's working. Okay. That was my fault, I think. And for trying to do the problems, obviously it's more benefit for both of us. So for you to try to write down on the whiteboard site like what you think you can do. Don't spend too much time on it. If it's like been more than a minute or two and you're like stuck on something, go to something else. You can always go back. Again, for those who are still in the labeling process, step 1 is put a star. No, I know how to do that. Question mark, I don't. And we'll be doing the ones that I see that are the question mark ones. After you've labeled everything, step 2 is do the star ones. You said you knew how to do it. Let's see it. I'm able to catch you doing it when you're going too fast. Step 4 is you verifying if you did things right. I'll say it out loud because some of your internet might be faster than me clicking. Angelina, you were correct on the one you just finished. So Mariana, pause on what you're doing right there. Okay, so the first step you did, you could do that, but in this case, um, instead, why don't you figure out what 4 squared is and 9 squared is? Even though usually we do want the equal 0 thing. If we see x squared, this one, maybe not. Because it'll make things longer. But first, do that, or you could do that step, but first I want you to like figure out what 4 squared is and 9 squared is. Because then the problem will look like something that I know you know how to do. There's a simpler way to do the process. That's correct, Angelina. And just so I think one of the problems you did on number 1, I think it was you. You were showing the correct step. I'm assuming you finished it correct. Am I doing okay? Label the stuff stars and question marks and then get to the star ones. If we need more time on actually doing the star ones, well, let's do that. Okay. So just finish off that thing, Tino. Leave it as a fraction. X equals what? Negative fraction. That's correct, Giselle. And Mariana, if you were to do like your first step with the minus on both sides, it'd be a minus 81. So 16 minus 81, figure out what that is. So it's going to be x squared minus something equals 0 on the next step. Good setup on the problem, Jasmine. You can hit the plus sign, by the way, to make like a blank thing and then continue writing whatever. You set it up fine. Yeah, I'm going to start solving some of them. Is this like working for you? And if it's starting to malfunction, you can text me the problems. So for those who joined me, get yourselves on the whiteboard site. I'm going to copy and paste for Julian the Unit 4 classroom code. Again, this is on the one that says retrieval cards. The document says something about solving, because what you're doing is solving. You can also text me pictures as you go. Okay, let me see. Where's you guys at? Oh, it's off by one number. So notice, Mariana, on the thing you have, if it was like minus 64, we could factor. Since it's not, I want you to do plus 65 to both sides. And we'll talk about, see if you know what to do on the calculator to finish it off. So do plus 65 to both sides. So Julian, as I send over the things, we're going to be practicing our retrieval and thinking about what we know how to do and what we don't know how to do. So you should be receiving all the different slides at once. So like scroll down, there's the plus and the minus thing with all the different problems. So click to see, so switch it to problem number 1, just to make sure that you received all the things. I think I sent it correctly. Jasmine, you doing okay? Or did you accidentally like erase everything?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, just checking.
I'm doing the same thing as Gemma is doing. I'm writing them on paper.
Okay. You can do it on paper and make sure I'm getting in the text. Hopefully I'm receiving it, because I don't know why with some students on or different cell phone services are not liking each other, and I receive it hours later, and then I think you're not sending me anything. So Julian, see if you can click over to problem number 1. You should have like 6 problems already loaded below your whiteboard. You're going to be putting a star off to the side if you actually know how to do it, top of your head. If you know how to do that, put a star off to the side and then click over to problem 2. If you get to a problem that you don't know, you're putting a question mark. And then you're going to go back and do the ones with the stars. Good. You remember there was a square root thing. Oh, wait. Oh, so Mariana, on yours, we got x squared equals 65. To finish that off, we do square root on both sides. And then you can use the calculator and figure out what decimal that is. And then x equals like 8 point something. So again, Julian, if you know how to do that problem you're looking at, put a star off to the side and click over to number 2. If you know that, put a star. If you're like, oh, not really, put a question mark off to the side. Leave some room because I am going to want you to write on there in a second. Again, all these, well, not all of them, most of these equations that you're seeing are things that you've seen this year. And I think other than one of them, 5 out of the 6 you've seen at some point in your life. Okay, your mind should find them semi-familiar. Okay, good, Mariana. Go off to the next one. Next star one. Again, Julian, if you don't know how to do it, put a question mark, and then if you do, then go for it. And to my knowledge, in case I am keeping track of what you're showing me for those who are doing the labeling on the whiteboards, I don't think anybody put all stars just so that you know. And again, the only one seeing the thing other than on the video thing. It'd be good knowledge for those who are watching that. Like, yeah, you have questions, you're not gonna remember everything. And for your star problems, because most of you are here on time, let's say 2 more minutes. Then we're gonna go over the question ones. In 2 minutes, I want you to type in the chat the ones that you have questions on. And again, everybody has some of them. Okay? Not that I would have someone who has finished all 6 problems super quickly when nobody's done that, which is fine. And some problems, some of you solved it in very different ways. Like I have 3 people who attempted to do number 6. One of you did it the way I intended you to do it, and it seemed like it's semi-simple for you, and then 2 of you decided to go the very difficult route. You evidently know how to do it the hard way. You're working your way through it. So in about 40 seconds, I'm going to stop you in your tracks. Again, if it was a star thing, then evidently you know how to do it. Okay, you can always go back and show me. If you want bonus points like on participation, you can text me whatever you're writing for these. Okay, you're gonna have enough practice for other things. So 30 more seconds. That's correct, Angelina, by the way. And you did it the way I intended you to do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna pause you, even though some of you are doing good progress in your problem. I need you to put in the chat the ones you put question marks on. So I want you to compare. I can see what you put over here. I know which ones and which ones on purpose I put as things that should have questions. Type in the chat the problems, the ones that you labeled with a question mark. Okay, maybe you have 1, maybe you have 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. Put all the ones that you have questions on. Okay, we're going to go through them. Some you're going to notice that some of the question ones, it's not like you're going to notice the process isn't long. It's just you haven't seen that type of problem in a while, and that's why you're asking about it. I'll wait until at least one more of you puts their questions, because you do have the questions. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start in numerical order. We'll start on number 2. This on your paper, and again, you should have all the problems written down. I would keep track for yourself, question mark and star, and these categories could change as you practice these things. And this is a practice that you have. So I think I only saw one of you solve this on their whiteboard. Several of you put them as stars, but you decided not to solve them. Okay, so you have 2 sides to the equation. There's 4 different steps of what you can do. One student, no, actually, there were 1 or 2 of you. One of you, I didn't see the final answer. I would do, and make sure I wrote the thing down correctly. I would do plus 5x plus 5x, 8x plus 8 equals 7. And then I would do this guy. After the first step, then your choices narrow down. You could do 2 things. This is the one that's going to take you more directly to the answer. Cancels, -1. 8x. We finish off by dividing. This is where one gentleman took it to here, and then I didn't see what he wrote later on. And yes, you can have answers that are fractions. Okay, usually that or whatever the decimal of that is. Okay? Which is something you've seen before, just that even in math 3, you're gonna get stuck like, oh, we haven't done that in a while. That would freak out still the math 1 people. Math 2, there's some of them that can do it. Okay. While you write that down, I'll write down number 3. I'm going to write down 5. I think that was on the list. By the way, those who were attempting to do number 6, I wanted you to use a big X and factor it. From there, it's sort of simple. Some of you were trying to be all fancy like with the quadratic formula. One of you had it all set up, was close, just needed a simplified Jasmine. Probably going to get to the same answers as Angelina, I'm assuming. And all the people, you did stuff that was valid. So here's number 3. Anybody have a clue on this one? I think one of you actually did solve it. Well, how do we go about doing this thing? By the way, if you like knowing what things are called, this is called a proportion, which is when you have a fraction equal to a fraction. That's also a proportion. So how do I go about doing this thing? Any ideas?
Can you reduce the 5/40?
You can. By the way, the reducing part, you don't have to. You could, especially to make things simpler. Just to review what that means, we'll make these smaller. So this is an optional thing to do, which you get 1/8 right here. This makes it so that I don't have to use my calculator to figure out things later on. Okay, either way, notice I still have a fraction equals a fraction. I get rid of this by cross multiplying. This times that is 8x. This times this is 3. And all of you know that we finished by dividing. 3/8. If you didn't do the simplifying at the beginning, you're going to have to do it at the end. Okay? Because whatever your answer would have been would not show up on the dimension. It wouldn't be wrong, but it wouldn't be in simplest terms. This is something you've seen at some point. You probably didn't remember, like, oh, the cross multiplying. Okay, that is the same thing, just with more details. Make sure to prove to you that's correct, because I said it's a fraction equals a fraction. Obviously, you see a fraction on the left side. On the right side, well, here's your fraction. And this is a little group, so let's group it together. So it goes like this. 1 times 1 is 1. And then I'm going to put 10 times x plus 5. I distribute 10x plus 50 equals 1 minus 50, -49, divided by 10. Fraction stuff, or let's just put it in decimal, -4.9. Put it in a calculator and get that, or figure out how to do things in your head with the decimals. But it's just cross multiplying. You see fraction equals fraction. At some point, do some cross multiplying. Okay. because you're going to have problems that look like that one with variables. Now I'm going to send to all of you who are on the whiteboard site. I'll move this back. I need to tilt it this way because I can't do all the things. Let me see. Let me load the other retrieval cards. And again, if it takes the whole time today just to remind ourselves, what do I actually know how to do? Now we're going to retrieve our knowledge of formulas. And as I set things up and talk as I'm clicking, and I have to do it one at a time evidently. What does a formula look like? So I say formula, what is that in your mind? Put in the chat or unmute yourself just to make sure I send all the things. So you're going to get updated whiteboard things. And again, the list of problems are on in the classroom. That's something I'm going to try to do so that you always have access to them. A formula, what is that? What is a formula? And if you notice somebody type something in the chat, don't know if they have done so, you can volunteer to read what the other person put and add on to it. I'll read it in a second after I send you the next set. And on these, since I noticed some of you are quickly going through it, all you're doing is star and question mark. There isn't going to be no steps 3 and 4. It's, do you know what you're looking at? If you want to jot some notes, yeah, this is for like a triangle. This letter A means this. The T is this, or the R is that. Do some of that if you want, or do that on your paper. Let's put stars and question marks so I know. Yeah, I've seen this thing before. Like, no, I don't know what the heck that thing's for. By the way, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what one of them was actually talking about, and I caught that Edmonton was wrong on something after watching about like 10 YouTube videos and going on doing a web search on Yahoo and stuff. I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. This is the wrong word, math word. They were telling me wrong information. None of you said anything like. Okay, so Hannah has put a guide to find a solution to an equation. Yeah. So to add on to hers, notice that those of you clicking through the cards, you're seeing a bunch of different equations. In math or in science, a formula would look like a bunch of letters, a bunch of different variables. A scientific formula, usually all the letters actually mean something. Whereas the thing that's right behind me over here that we were writing down on 3 and 5, this X doesn't mean anything, it's just a number, random number thing. It's a math puzzle. But the ones right here, the A means something, there's F's. Angelina was looking at one where there was an E there, it means something. Usually it's the first letter of the word. Okay. Luckily for us, most of these words are ones in English. We speak English. Some of us actually speak more than just that. And usually it's the first letter in our other languages too. Some people are not so lucky and they have to remember, okay, this is some English word. And okay. So click through them, put stars and question marks. Which ones look familiar? Oh, I know what that thing's for. I've seen it before. So 1 through 6. Okay. And again, it's whether or not you know what the thing is, or maybe even you know how to use a thing for a specific problem. Okay. And I like what one of you said, didn't just put the symbol, she actually put I forgot question mark. But I have the hunch that the thing sort of looks familiar to her. I don't remember how to use that thing. Okay. So go through them and click to yourself, and then I'm going to want you to put, well, actually, I'm noticing which ones you're putting question marks on, so I'll be addressing those. So far, Angelina's clicking very quickly. One of you put a question on 4. I've seen several things on 6. Did I do the same mistake again? Let me try it again, just to see. And again, this is the set that if you're looking in the classroom, it's labeled the same one. It says retrieval cards for lesson 1. This is the one for formulas. I think that's what I labeled them as. Okay. I know number 6 had a question on it. We had 2 looked familiar to someone, but they told me, well, I forgot what it's for. And if anybody tells me they know all 6 of them, I'm gonna doubt your honesty. If I don't know all 6 of them, I have to use my notes for stuff. Okay. 30 more seconds on this. This is just star question mark, star question mark. There's nothing to do with them. We're gonna use a couple of them. One of you is lying to me, saying that they know what number 6 is. They know what you know what number 6 is. You would have to get like a super A+ on with Natalie in physics, and I don't even think she talked about that. I'm gonna talk about number 5. I don't know if any of you put a question mark on it, but that's not one of the basic things. So now let's talk about these. Anybody want to tell me what number 1 is for, or what it's called, or how do I use it? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What's that for? Put it in the chat or unmute yourself. What's that one for? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Most of you, did I notice? Put a star on that one. What is it used for? Or it just looked familiar, but you don't remember? Either way is fine.
Doesn't it start with like a P?
It does start with a P. So usually we call it the Pythagorean theorem or the right triangle theorem. So you have your right triangle, you're missing one of the sides, you need to use that thing. Let's talk about number 2. Lots of you put stars. One of you is very honest. They're like, looks familiar. I don't know, not exactly what. She wasn't confident in saying that this is a star. What does this A stand for? We need a. I think I heard someone say area. What's the B for? Base. What's the H for? Good. Height. This is for finding the area of a triangle. Here's the base is the bottom thing. Here's the height. You multiply those and by 1/2 and you get the triangle. Number 4. Okay, number 4 is what Jasmine and Maureen, I'm trying to be all fancy on one problem. We're using this. They used it correctly. I would have given them more time than they would have actually finished it off. What's this thing called? Some of you put a fix the camera. Some of you put a star on number 4. Some of you admitted I don't know what that thing is. What's number 4 called? Yep, this is the quadratic formula. When it's a problem that, okay, it's like a factoring thing, but you can't do it with factoring, or I forgot how to do the factoring thing, you can use that. Okay. So there's that one. I'm going to write down the last 2. Actually, I'm going to do one at a time. So 5 and 6 are very specific science things. We're going to go through them to the best of my ability. Not an expert at them. Also, we don't need to go very in depth. We just need to know how to mess with them. By the way, the ones that are right here, like 1, 2, and 4, they're usually used in the format that you're seeing them. Usually we don't move around the letters and stuff. This one maybe. I bring that up because of number 5. Number 5 has a name, which is this. I believe named after some white European guy from back in the day. I'm assuming his last name was Coulomb. So Coulomb's law. Let's see how creative you are. Some of you are with Natalie. Some of you already taken physics. Some of you may have not done that, but maybe you're going to be creative. Okay, let's label some letters. What do you think the F is for? There's a word that in Natalie's physics class is going to be used a lot.
Force?
I was going to give a Star Wars reference, but you guys figured it out before. I could use it. This is the force, meaning something that moves stuff or changes how other things behave. Okay. This one right here, K is used a lot for just like a specific number, something that doesn't change, which would be a constant. Notice it don't match up with the spelling exactly. The sound does. K, this is sort of like a K sounding constant. So some number goes there. And then, I don't think you would know these two, but this one and this one, these two are talking about the charge on two bodies. And the body doesn't have to be like your physical body, like anything. Like this eraser is a body, this pen, this marker is a body. Like there's two objects. They have a charge, like if it was a magnet, one's positive, one's negative, that kind of thing. Okay. What do you think the R is for? Is there like a math word with R? Which sort of makes sense in this case. You can sort of think it'll help us to understand why they're using it. What's a math word with R? Like think of a circle, something with an R. Like pi r squared. What's with the R? Notice R squared. Okay, so this is radius. And you have to think about what are we talking about with radius? Well, this is the distance between those two objects, between the bodies. Okay, so this board would just be us breaking down, okay, what am I looking at? And to actually do the problem, you don't have to even analyze any of these things that I've written down, but this will give you a better analysis, especially if you're taking physics, or even if you're doing any of the science classes. They're all challenging. You can analyze, what am I looking at? Is this something valid, invalid? How can I break it down? What we are going to be doing, we need to do that equation. We're going to solve for R, meaning I want R equals. If you have a different color pen or marker, color crayon, whatever, circle the R and circle, because R is the important letter. I'm going to rewrite the equation so that I have more room around it. And to look back, I do not have that equation memorized, that formula. Okay. Okay, so we have this thing. Okay, we want the R by itself. And this is a fraction. I can make this side a fraction. How do I solve something like that? Remember on the first retrieval card thingy? It was like problem 3 and problem 5. What did I do when I had two fractions? Think back or look back at your pages. There was a little process that you've all heard the expression, just we didn't remember what it was. Most of you had a question mark on 3 and 5. How do I get rid of the fractions? Yeah, we cross multiply. We do this and this. 1 times all of that is just all of that. Okay, Q2. By the way, the charge for number 1, the charge for number 2, they're not exponents. They're called subscripts because they're below like a submarine. And then we have F R squared. And again, the important letter is the R. Notice it's almost all by itself. You used to have all of this. It only has the exponent and the letter. How do I get rid of this letter? We do the same thing we did before where there was like 2 problems where it was like 8 and something. Like for example, if it was like this, how would you finish this thing that's up here? Just to this is the same thing as these over here. This has a bunch of letters. Yeah, we divide by 8, divide by 8. I don't want the F, I'm going to divide by it. That will separate it from being side by side. Okay. This cancels. I'm just going to switch the order. I don't think it's going to freak you guys out. R squared, K, Q1, Q2, F. We had a problem where, what was it? It was like x squared equals 65. I think 3 of you did this one. How did we finish this? Because that's how we're going to finish the one over here. Different letters, because I don't want that exponent 2. I want to get rid of the squared. So what's the opposite of it to get rid of it? Like Mariana did something on the calculator and then ended up with 8 point something 1 or something. What is that one thing that we do to both sides? It's a square root. So I do square root, and the square root goes around the whole thing over here. So r is equal to, why you would do this is, if they gave you all the different numbers, like they told you the charge of body 1 is something, the charge of the second one is something, there is a force, I'm pushing it this hard, and whatever constant is a certain number, you could move around all of the variables because you don't have a formula that says R equals. You can make your own formula based on the one that's way up there. You could also just plug in the numbers on the wherever they go and then do algebra as well. But sometimes you want to be able to do this. This is a good skill. This is something that I wasn't able to remember certain formulas when I was taking physics in college because I never took it in high school. So it was hard for me. Somehow I passed. I don't know how. Okay. Because I couldn't switch them up. It was in my mind you have to like memorize 10,000 formulas, no notes, and it was like really hard. So this is a good skill to have. Where are we on time? The last one, number 6, is also going to be about science, so I'm not going to rush it. Okay. So far today we practiced using our retrieval tools and stuff. Please make sure to include on the vacation retrieval thing, or you're going to text me, what are you planning to complete for math today? Other than 2 of the ladies, most of you owe me some stuff from previous units, whether it's test, mastery test. One of you is smiling because I'm going to bug her later during her independent study stuff, even though she's getting a prize, but still, we all can still improve. Okay. And by Friday, well, you're going to be finishing by then. So I want to know your plan for getting yourselves caught up. I already did put the first homework assignment will be to do the practice. You can start messing with it right now. As you're doing the problems, I want you to put little stars off to the side, question marks and stuff. Remember, if it's a question mark, you can use by whatever means necessary. It's a homework assignment. You want to look up stuff on YouTube, Yahoo, whatever. Right now you can. When it's a test, that's when you can't. And then you want to make it a learning process of, okay, I did it once, let me try it again to make the score go up or to get less problems with question marks so I don't have to look things up. You don't have to start it because most of you have things that you're behind on. So the ones who should probably start glancing at those, that would be Angelina and Gemma. The rest of you get caught up with the other stuff. It's not due for a couple of days anyway. Tomorrow we're going to continue doing practice ones so that when all of you get to it, it'll make more sense. Okay? And again, you may want to use the retrieval stuff for the other stuff, especially right before you take a post test. And I'll be bugging you guys later in case I don't get those messages of when are you going to finish each thing. So I'll see you guys later.